Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, where today we're doing a bit of a discussion-y topic, kind of just looking at what I'm hoping to see in the music industry or in and around bands that I'm a fan of for 2024. So I've just bullet pointed a few things down on my phone here, and I'm going to run through them. It's probably not going to be a very long video, but I just thought I'd look at what I'm kind of hoping for and see maybe a couple months down the line we can revisit this and see how many are correct or how many we didn't end up getting. So my first one is a new Lorna Shore album, maybe, or at least another EP, because I think it was 2021 that we got Pain Remains. So it's kind of that we're in that second year where I reckon we could see something come out maybe late 2024, early 2025 at the latest, but I do think we might end up seeing some new Lorna music at some point this year. So my next one is Project Vengeance. I'm kind of hoping we get a little bit more from them. As of right now, I believe we only had 2 songs from them in 2023. And honestly, my biggest hope is if we do actually get more from this project, that the production is a little bit better, because the first song, the production was very muddy. You couldn't tell who was actually on the vocals, obviously because there's like 5 of them. It was very meshed together. The second single was a little bit better, and you could tell that most of it sounded like Darius from Spite. So hopefully if they can just up that production value a little bit and drop us some better bangers, they definitely could kickstart the year with something cool. So this album actually came out not too long ago. It is the new Drowned in Sulphur album. I'll probably do a full in-depth album review of this one, but I've only heard about half to a quarter of the song already, album already, sorry, and so far the songs have been pretty good. My biggest issue, which me and my friend kind of agreed, the opening track really felt like it didn't need to be there. It was kind of like a fillery, like atmospheric, instrumental sort of weird open, which I always kind of don't like in albums. They're kind of boring. So I will be looking into that at some point and doing a full album review video for you guys on that. Also, Alex Kohler of Chelsea Grin, the original vocalist, has come back again. He was around doing a little bit of like hip hop, trap metal stuff under the name of Grudges. Frequently worked with a guy called Anxiety. But now he is back with some of the guys from Chelsea Grin and a band called, I think it's Ammonia. I'm not sure how you say their name, but they dropped an album, an EP. It wasn't supposed to be out yet, but Alex was like, yo, we can't just leave you guys waiting. The EP's ready to go. Here you go. And from what I've heard again, oh my god, it's really good. Alex is fucking back on point. Like, this is old school Chelsea Grin style of vocals. Alex sounds vocally back to his peak, which I'm glad. Like, he's a phenomenal vocalist. I'm glad to see him doing well. glad to see him back in another band, and hopefully, you know, this turns out to be fruitful and prosperous for him and the guys. And I just want to see this succeed. Honestly, he deserves it. Some other hopes. I'm hoping for maybe a new Ice Nine Kills album. I know it feels like only recently did we get Welcome to Horrorwood, like the sequel to Behind the Silver Scream or whatever it was called. But it's actually been about 2 years since that dropped. So I'm hoping either a few singles, or maybe we might see the signs of a new album starting to crop up. Now, if we do, I don't know if we're going to get a Silver Scream Part 3 immediately. I kind of, if I'm being honest, I would like to see them do another Every Trick in the Book sort of thing, where they take like historical books and turn them into songs. Like, I think it would be cool to see them do like some fucking Edgar Allan Poe and some like authors like that, and turn that into like a musical soundtrack for the books. Like, it could be cool. So in 2024, I am kind of hoping we might get more from Chelsea Grin, but I'm not a big fan of Chelsea Grin 2.0. Last year they did drop 2 like albums, and I was going to review both of them in one very long episode. But actually I ended up scrapping it because I wasn't happy with the albums. I found them very monotonous, very boring. Just the features felt bland and lifeless. The Trevor Strand song was probably the best feature on there, and even then I couldn't tell you where he sounded like he was and where Tom Barber was still going on with vocals. It just wasn't the best they felt like they've done. And I know this is probably controversial, but for me it always feels like Tom Barber's a bit more focused on Darko US, where they're like churning out new music every friggin' month. Like, it feels like I've seen them put out more music in a year than he's put out with Chelsea Grin in the time that he took over from Alex. It's insane. And personally, I'm not a big fan of Darko either. I was going to do their newest album as a review as well, and I couldn't get through the fucking album. It was just so monotonous. Like, everything just sounded very similar. So yeah. Moving away from the negativity of that prediction or hope, I'm also hoping for a new full-length Sabaton album. Again, it's been about a year or two. They've dropped a couple EPs over 2023 where it was like songs they'd already put out, and then they were tail-ended by one new song to fit those EPs and what they were themed around. So I'm kind of hoping we might get another full-length album soon, because you can never have too much Sabaton. I think this year as well is going to be the build-up for Elven King, leading to the Reader of the Runes trilogy finale, with Reader of the Runes 3. I do intend on actually doing a review of part 1 and part 2 of this album, hopefully on the lead up to part 3. And I know they do have a single coming out soon, which actually gives a bit of back lore about one of the characters from this series of series of songs and albums and stuff. So that's going to be interesting. Now, some of you might remember I've looked at Feuerschwann's songs every now and then, and recently they've announced that they're doing a full album in English. So obviously some of their stuff is in English, some of their stuff is in German, but this is going to be an entire album just dedicated to English versions of their songs. So I'm looking forward to that and just hearing what the differences are. Probably going to end up doing a review on that one. I don't think we have a release date just yet, but I know there is like a track list that I was sent for what songs they're going to be doing on the album. Apparently the album is, so it's titled Warriors, for those of you wondering, and the upcoming album from the German folk metal band is the quickfire follow-up to last year's album. And apparently is actually going to be scheduled to be released in April if everything goes well, so only a couple of months from now. The upcoming album features the brand new songs The Unholy Grail and a cover of Assassin's Creed Valhalla Calling by Miracle of Sound, as well as 10 of the band's greatest hits translated into English. So the track list, for anyone wondering, is Highlander, English version, The Unholy Grail featuring Dominion of Orden Ogun, which is another very good band, The Forgotten Commandment, Memento Mori, English version featuring Lord of the Lost's Chris Harms, Death of the Dragon Ship, World Wharf featuring Francesco Cavalieri of Windrose, who I'm also hoping we might see some new music from this year, Circle Pit of Hell, Song of Fire and Ice featuring Patty Gurdy, Purgatory, Bastard of Asgard, Siegfried, Dragon Slayer, and Valhalla Calling. So yeah, it's going to be a very good album, some good features, some classics on there, some new stuff, good handful of stuff to listen to. 2K24 was announced, and I'm kind of hoping we get a bit of a better soundtrack this year. It's a game I play year round. I always pre-order it as soon as it's released, and normally the cover star gets to pick the soundtrack. So last year John Cena did it, the year before that was fucking MGK. I can't remember who did the soundtrack for 2020. I know 2019 was a handful of different stars got to pick a song to go on it. But last year's one, there was a very heavy influence of like Latin hip hop and stuff like that. So don't get me wrong, I loved the soundtrack. It was actually really good. Like we had Post Malone and Ozzy, Metallica I think was on there, The Weeknd. Like it was a very robust soundtrack. But this year I'm kind of hoping we get a bit more old school, getting a bit more, since Triple H has taken over, maybe a bit more Metallica, a bit more, you know, Motorhead, a bit more Slipknot, stuff like that, because I know he's a bit of a metalhead, and I'm hoping we might get to see a bit more of a angry soundtrack, you know. New Northlane should be coming out at some point this year as well. I believe they dropped a song a couple of days ago with Winston McCall of Parkway Drive. You can see him back here. Called Miasma, which was heavy as shit. Winston actually went full on early Parkway Drive vocals, so I will be putting that in a 6-song roundup. Probably gonna be doing the EP when it drops. As well as that, I think we might be getting some new Era music soon. I think I saw they were dropping a single recently, so I'm hoping that might lead to an EP or an album in a couple of months. And other than that, my final point here was the new Bring Me the Horizon album. So it should have been out a while ago, but obviously Jordan Fish, I think it was removed from the band, and Ollie came out saying that they're delaying the album again because there's too many songs on the album that we've already heard, because they kept releasing singles and the album wasn't getting put out. So Ollie wanted to put some more stuff on the album that we hadn't heard, so he didn't feel disappointed in it, which as a fan, it's a nice sentiment. I'm just hoping that the songs A, fit with what they already have, B, that losing Jordan doesn't make too much of a difference, or it completely rejuvenates the band. I don't know which way it's going to go. C, Post-Human Survival Horror Part 2, or whatever this album is called. The songs that we've heard already from it have been pretty frigging good, and the newest track, Kool-Aid, I've really been enjoying. So I'm hoping this might, like Post-Human Survival Horror EP1, this should be a good collection of songs from what we've heard. So I'm intrigued to see what Ollie's going to be able to think up on the fly and quickly add in to make us feel like we're getting our money's worth, which not many people really do that in the music industry. So, you know, hats off to Ollie, I guess. With that being said, that's everything that I had noted down. That's everything that I can think of off the top of my head. So we'll see where these these predictions, I guess, go later in the year. Also, with that being said, I will see you all in the next video, which, according to my schedule on my phone, should be the 6-song roundup episode 26, which I have the list done for, I have the thumbnail done for, I just need to sit down and listen to it. So yeah, there is that. So all that is left to say is remember to stay safe out there, my friends, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.